This is J. Krishnamurti's first discussion with teachers and students at Brockwood Park, 1972.
May I begin? We'll ask questions and discuss afterwards I've talked. I don't know if you realize why Brockwood exists at all. To understand why it exists, you have to look at the world as it is. Not what you think of the world as it is, but actually look what is going on in the world. Just to observe without you are condemning it or approving of it or having an opinion about it. Just to look. First of all, there are various religious divisions. Right? Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, and subdivisions of all these organized religions. And they are fighting each other. In the past, in the name of God or whatever it was, they killed each other by the thousands. Except perhaps Buddhism and Hinduism. But Muslims and the Christians have slaughtered by the thousands other human beings. Then you see the division of nationalities. The Germans, the Russians, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Chinese, the Americans, you follow? The divisions that are going on in the world, politically divided, geographically divided, and in conflict. And there has been formerly, before the Second World War, League of Nations, which collapsed. Now they have United Nations, which is really not united at all, but utterly immoral in their existence even. Because they admit those who are free, those who are tyrannical, those who are tyrants, dictators, everything is. And there are racial differences. The blacks, the whites, the what are the green? No, yellows, the browns, and so on. The Asiatics and the non-Asiatics. Again, a division, conflict. Then, economically, there is also conflict. Japan on one side, tremendously productive, tremendously active, well organized, under paternal, economic, and I wouldn't like to use the word slavery, but control. And they are producing marvelous things. Then there is the economic division. Then there is the class division. In India, there is the Brahmin. You know what Brahmins are? And the non-Brahmins. And the Brahmins have exploited the non-Brahmins. Because the Brahmins had all the brains, cultivated the brain. They were the priests, they were the leaders, politically, religiously, and so on, morally. And there is this tremendous division between classes. And in this country, it exists much more. The snobbery here is extraordinary. So there is this division right throughout the world, politically, economically, socially, linguistically. You follow? Divide, divide, divide. And where there is division, there must be conflict. Like Bangladesh and West Pakistan. There have been recent wars. There is a war between the Arabs and the Israelites, war between America and Vietnam, political divisions, racial divisions, ideological differences. Right? You're following all this? These are facts, not my opinion. Then there is the communist bloc with their tyranny, and the intellectual people are trying to break through, and so on and on and on. We wanted a place here at Brockwood where all this doesn't exist at all. You understand? You got it? What the world is, this place must not be. At least that's what our intention was when we started. And I think it still is. That no class differences, no racial differences, no religious differences, no economic difference. You may be rich out there, but here we're all equal, economically, socially, morally, without any adherence to any nation. Right? And the world, as it is in tremendous conflict. Competitive economically. You know what's happening between Japan and America, and Japan and China, Japan and how Japan is infiltrating into the West. Watches, cars, everything. And here, we want to create quite a different kind of atmosphere. Atmosphere in which conflict doesn't exist at all. Between you, me, this staff, and you. Right? Because conflict means not only lack of intelligence, but it's a factor of distortion. Am I using good words? When you and I fight, quarrel about this or that, we never come to any understanding. When we only fight when there is no intelligence. When you and I have little intelligence and exercise that little intelligence, conflict is unnecessary. Right? It's only we quarrel, we have differences of attitudes and actions when we have different opinions. Right? When I have an opinion, I think I should do this, and you think you should do that. Right? Are you following all this? So, opinions are unnecessary. We're only dealing with facts, right? Do you understand this? Why should I have an opinion about the microphone? It's absurd to have an opinion about it, or about an elephant. So, but the world is governed by opinions, ideas, and conclusions, which they call ideologies. Right? These ideologies divide people. They don't bring people together. They don't help people to cooperate. I stick to my belief, my opinion, my God, my country, and you stick to yours. And then we battle. Which seems to me so utterly insane. Sanity is when you and I exercise our intelligence without opinion. That is to look at facts only. Look at what is and move from there, together. Right? Together, not you ahead of me and I behind. Together we see the fact, cooperate with the fact, and together go forward. Is that clear? Am I making myself clear? So that at any time there is no conflict between you and me, or between each other. This is what Brockwood, at least for me, exists. I feel, we want to create a totally different kind of human being here, who is neither English, French, German, Russian, who doesn't get caught in any belief, in any dogma, who only moves with what is and with facts. And therefore, to bring about a human being totally harmonious in himself, right? Am I harmonious in the sense harmony between his mind, his heart, and his body, the organism, all together function harmoniously. Right? That is, to have a very good mind, capable of thinking very clearly. You cannot think clearly if you say, I am right, you are wrong. This is my opinion, that's your opinion. We cannot think together clearly. Which means we together think very, very clearly, have a good, sharp, clear brain. Are we understanding each other? And I can't go into all the implications of it, which we will, as long as I'm here. And also, to have affection, love, kindliness, courtesy, considerateness, which is what is generally called the heart. You understand? Are we following each other? And to have a good physical body. Otherwise, the mind, the heart, and the body are not in harmony. To have a very good body, not a sloppy body. Because the more the organism functions well, subtly, it naturally affects the brain. Right? So, we want, at least this is what I feel I'm responsible for in a place like this. And I helped to bring this about here. As I did help to bring about 2 schools in India, one in the north and one in the south. There used to be one in California, but unfortunately that has gone out of our hands. So, how do you have very good brain, very good mind, objective, efficient, balanced, sane mind, which means you have to study, cultivate the brain, that means you have, the brain must be extraordinarily awake. Observe, capacity to act. Act harmoniously with what you feel, with what you love. You follow? So we'll begin with the necessity of having great harmony between the mind, the heart, and the body. The mind being intelligence. We'll go into what intelligence is later, the implications of that word. And the heart, which is considerateness, politeness, affection, friendship, companion. You follow? And a body that's very subtle, supple. Right? Is this clear? For the moment. Now, we live in a community, right? This is a community, rather isolated, not too near a town, fortunately. So in a place that's extraordinarily beautiful, lovely trees, meadows, and the English sky when you get it blue. Later on, as you will see, it'll get very cold, very dark, and all the rest of it. We live in a community, about 100 of us, where each one has a function. Mr. Porter has a function with regard to the vegetable garden, all that side. That's his function. The staff have their function, right? Not status, function. You know the difference between status and function? Is it all getting rather tiresome? Huh? I think you should understand all this, and then we can proceed to discuss in more detail later. I have a function. My function has been since I was 15 to, what shall I say, to talk, to write, to explore, to all kinds of things. And I've done it. That's my function. But that function brings certain sense of power, certain sense of authority. You understand? Not in me, but in others. Certain sense of reverence, certain sense of acceptance. Out of all that, I can build a status for myself. You're following? I can say, well, I'm a very great man. You must all treat me as a great man. Status, that is, power, position, which becomes much more important than function. If I function without status, then sentimentality, opinion doesn't enter into it. But when out of functioning, a status is created, then mischief begins. Have you understood? We must be clear on it, right? Have you understood what I've said? Mrs. Simmons has a function, as like Mr. Porter has a function. The staff, each one has a function. They are responsible to the function, not to the status. Right? You see what I'm explaining, or am I just talking to a wall? I have certain responsibility in my functioning. I am not responsible for the status which you have put me in. You follow? I won't accept any status for myself. Because that's what brings about mischief in the world. As long as we live and act in status, then there is division. I don't know if you see this. If I give to my function a certain status, then what matters is the status, not the function. Then I'm very concerned about my position in a community, right? Whether it's small or large. But if I'm a cook, and my function is to cook, but you look at me as a cook because you have a certain status in your mind with regard to the cook. You following this? So you treat me as a cook, not as a functionary. Therefore you have disrespect for me. Because you, in your mind, status is important. The Prime Minister is much more important than the cook. Right? Whereas function is important at all levels. I wonder if you're getting all this. All right. Therefore, in a community like this, with 100 people, about 100 people, I don't know exact number, sorry, I don't, isolated somewhat, we are responsible for the whole thing as in the functioning and in the running of the whole place. We are responsible, you understand? Responsibility, you know what that word means? Huh? The word means to respond rightly. To respond. May I be a little bit more complex? Little difficult? You don't mind? You can ask me afterwards. I feel responsible for this place. Not only for the garden, for the trees, for everybody who is here. Responsible, you follow? That is, respond to each one adequately. You understood? If I don't respond adequately to you, then there's conflict between you and me. If I respond with all my being to you, that is, my being harmonious without conflict in me, you follow? Intelligently, respond totally. Then there is no conflict between you and me. But if I respond inadequately, which is, if I say, well, you are an American, I don't like Americans. I like you because you've got a good accent. English accent. I like you because you're a girl, not a boy. You follow? That is, if I have opinions, judgments, evaluations in me, I cannot respond harmoniously to you. You get it? Responsibility means that. I wonder if you get all this. I feel responsible for in that way for this place. And for you as students as well as the older people, the staff. Then I go to India. I'll do in November. I'm going to these two schools as well as go to different parts of India. I'm going to talk to all the students, the staff, everybody there. When I get there, I feel terribly responsible for everybody. You understand? And this is not just words with me. This isn't just a lip service, and I feel responsible. And when I get up on a platform, as talk to 5,000 or 2,000 or 8,000 as it happens, I feel responsible what I say, what I feel, to me it is tremendously sacred to me. Now, being responsible for a community like this, I feel, knowing what the world is, the horror of it all that's going on, the exploitation, the butchery, the wickedness, the murder, the violence, the dishonesty that's going on in the world. I feel, and that's why Brockwood exists, that those who come here and stay here, study academically, must leave this place as a totally different human being. Totally different. Who don't just step into the rotten stuff and become corrupt like the rest of them. But human beings who are highly intelligent, highly moral, physically, like steel that bends, healthy. You understand all this? At least that's what I feel. You should leave here with completely psychologically changed human beings. And for that I feel responsible. You understand? And therefore, we have discussed this with the staff, they also feel responsible. That you, as students, young, coming here already conditioned. Do you understand? Already conditioned. Heavily burdened with with your opinions and judgments, evaluations. You think this, you think that. You come here with all the world which has made you. You come here. And either you throw off all that, or you keep it very subtly inside, and when you go out, it blossoms. You follow all this? So, living together means not only responsibility, but unconditioning ourselves. So that we are no longer frightened, no longer belonging to any group, any class, any religion, but morally, strong, clear, all the rest of it. That is our responsibility, right? Not only that you look after, help in the garden, when you pick up a leaf, you follow your responsibility. For the place, your responsibility to see that you are free human beings when you leave here. Not frightened, not accepting all the rot that's going on in the world. So, living in a community means responsibility. It also means relationship. To be related to each other. That responsibility, relationship can be mechanical or really alive. You follow? You understand what I'm talking about? Most of our relationships are mechanical. Have you noticed that? I get to know you and you get to know me. And we treat each other mechanically. Yes, I know you. And you know me. I've got certain mannerisms, certain way of speaking, certain attitudes, opinions, judgments, and so have you. We soon find out for each other's opinions, each other's attitudes, each other's temperament, characteristics, and go along. That soon becomes mechanical. Right? And that's how the world lives. Here, I feel relationship means something entirely different. Relationship is something that's living, moving, never static. Never, yes, I know you, and finished. But moving together, learning together in our relationship. I don't know you, you don't really know me. You have an image about me. I have an image about you. But you really don't know me. I don't know you. So to learn about each other, and therefore move together, all the time moving in learning, not coming to a conclusion about you or about me. I don't know if you follow all this. You follow all this? It's rather difficult, isn't it? So there is responsibility, relationship, and learning. That's how we are together here. We want to learn. There is academic learning, learning, mathematics, geography, history, biology, and God knows what else. And also there is another kind of learning. Learning about oneself. I don't know if you have not noticed something very interesting. Man has always been very selfish and self-centered. Right? You know what that means, don't you? Selfish and self-centered. And societies, religions throughout the world have said that doesn't help man in his relationship with others. Therefore, they tried to put the idea of God more important than the self. You understand? You understand? God, Jesus, Buddha, X, Y, Z. More important than you, old boy. Because you are so selfish, so self-centered, you create such havoc in the world. Because you're so miserly, you want everything for yourself. And knowing that, they say, the intellectuals, the so-called, say, love God. So transfer your selfishness to God. You understood? But you still remain selfish in the name of God. You understood that? And the communists come along, say, again, selfishness is very bad. Don't be concerned about yourself. Be concerned about the state. You understand? Be concerned about others, about the nation. So, see what's happened instead of God, they have put the nation, the state more important. So, you are still selfish in the name of the state, or in the name of the country. You practice shooting, you follow, for in the name of the state, in the name of nation. I don't know if you have watched all this. Haven't you? No, probably you haven't. You don't have to read books about it, you can watch it. So, living in a community in which responsibility and relationship matter greatly. And also learning, selfishness becomes a barrier not only to learning, but to relationship and responsibility. I wonder if you follow all this. If I am selfish, you know what selfishness means? Don't you? Or am I telling you something which you don't know? Selfishness means I want this before you do. It is mine, my opinion, my judgment. I am the greater than, I'm much more important than you. What I think is important, not what you think. You know, feeling of the self, the me is much more important than anybody else. The me, the power, the position, the prestige. And when that exists in a community, there must always be conflict. I don't know if you realize this. If I'm thinking about myself all the time, I'm the most important person, each one of us, community, relationship comes to an end. Doesn't it? I'm just stating facts, not my opinion. So when you realize all this, when you are aware of all this, that living together, learning together implies, living together, learning together is made impossible when there is no responsibility, when there is no relationship, and this relationship cannot exist if there is selfishness. Knowing all this, the clever people say God. You follow? Worship God and forget yourself. And I am the priest who is the interpreter of the God to you. I don't know if you follow all this. So, that's what the world has been doing, that's what the world does all the time. They transfer their selfishness to something, what they think greater, but the greater is still their selfishness. So, seeing all this in the world, here, to bring about a totally different kind of human being, all this must undergo tremendous revolution. And that is our function in relationship with you. Have you got it? Am I explaining myself? Now, let's start discussing. You know, I'm going to be here till the 15th of October. Then I go to Rome, Italy, Rome, and then go on to India for 3 months, come here, come back in February for a few days, then go on to California, and so on. Now, till the 15th, as many meetings together as possible, as long as I'm here. We'll arrange that. Now, what shall we talk over together? May I bring up something? So that we can talk over together about it. What is your relationship as a student with the older people? What's your relationship with the staff? What's your relationship with Mrs. Simmons? Or with Mr. Potter, or with Miss Khan, or somebody? What's your relationship?
I suppose a certain amount of authority must go with function, mustn't it?
We'll come into that. I want to first, if you don't mind, find out my relationship to you, and your relationship to me. Suppose I'm a teacher here, one of the staff members. What's your relationship to me? And what's my relationship to you? You know what it means to be serious? We are serious. I'm serious now. I can go outside and play and laugh and all the rest of it. But I'm serious. I want to find out very deeply, seriously, what my relationship is to you and your relationship to me. I'm an older man. And you're quite young. I've seen a great deal. I haven't read all the books. I don't read very much. I've seen a great deal, went into things very much. And if I'm a member of the staff, I want to find out for myself, what is my relationship to you? Is it divisive? You know divisive? What that word means? Divided. I am the older, the learned, the professor, the teacher, and you poor chaps are down below, and have to be taught. You understand? You're following all this? And what is your relationship to me if I'm one of the staff members? You come here, with your ideas of what freedom is, with your ideas of what abomination authority is, with your ideas of you are as good as me, you are in revolt, if you are. So you come, please just listen. You come with your ideas, with your conclusions, with the sense of revolt, with the sense of not accepting authority. Right? You come with your condition. And I may have or may not have my conditioning, and I have to find out how to meet each other. Right? Is there any meeting point? If you come with your conclusions, definitely, there must be freedom. Not knowing what it all means completely, but you say, well, I don't want the freedom. I don't want to be bossed by my family. And I don't want to be bossed by anybody. That's your conclusion. And I come along and say, look, I've understood a great deal about freedom. How can I meet you? If I say something, you say that's authoritarian. Because you have an image of authority, a conclusion about authority. Whereas I say, please, I have no conclusion about authority. To me, authority is terrible. But living together demands certain order. And I happen to be older, and I said, please, to establish order, must have certain authority. Right? You understand all this or not? So we have to understand together what authority means. Right? Right? Learn together, not you say this is authority or this is not authority. Learn together what is implied in the word authority. And freedom. In learning together, we have relationship. You follow? You understand what I'm saying? Like learning is walking together. On the same road, in the same direction, at the same speed. So when we learn together, there is no friction. I don't know if you see this, right? You and I are going to learn together what authority means. Where it is necessary, where it is not necessary, where it is dangerous, where it is criminal. You follow? We're going to learn about it. But if you say, you're older, therefore you're authoritarian, then it becomes silly. Right? And also, what does freedom mean? To do what you like? Nobody can do what they like. It's impossible. Unless you went off to the mountains living in a cave and say, well, I'm free at last. Then you'll soon die. So we have to understand the very complex question of freedom. So that's living in a community. See what it means. A community that is trying to be, not trying, that must be entirely different from the world. Each of us is learning. And we're going to learn together what is implied in authority, in freedom, in order, and all the other things. So, what is your relationship with the staff or with me, who is a member of the staff, if I am here as a teacher? Do you treat me as an older man and therefore, he's bound by authority, all the rest of it? Or do you treat me as I shall treat you if I'm a teacher? Which is to say, look, we both are going to learn. Don't say, if there is a meeting of students, and if there is a meeting of the staff, don't say they're divisive. We're going to learn. I don't know if you follow all this. Are you? Do you follow this? No, do discuss with me, please. Come on, Tunki. You're the oldest here. Or rather, you've been the longest here. I said, look, I understand, I'll explain. I go into it. The other day, we had a staff meeting before you all came here. And I said to them, as they said to me, what's our responsibility? What does this place stand for? Why does Brockwood exist? We went into that a little bit. And they have their function, haven't they? The staff has its function. No? Are you following all this? I'm a parent. I want to know about my children who are here. I don't want to interfere with them. I want to know how they're going on, how they're healthy, what they're doing, what they're thinking. Because I don't see them. I love them. At least I hope I do. To me, love is something else. We'll go into that. Love, it means freedom. Love means responsibility. Love means care, attention. My love to my child means that I want him to be the most, a living human being without fear, without tortured mind and body. And I want to know. I have a responsibility to my children. I have a responsibility how they are physically, morally, mentally. You follow? I love them, not just treat them like monkeys. I don't care what they become. I love them. But I want them to be the most extraordinary human beings. Not force them. I want them to be happy, extraordinarily intelligent, marvelous body. You follow, sir? And I say to Mrs. Simmons, I'm sending you my son, who is in revolt against me, you follow? Who thinks I'm a gaga, who thinks I'm rather stupid, who thinks that he knows or she knows much better than I do. I don't care what they think. Probably I'm all these things. But I like them. I love them. It's my responsibility. And I write to Mrs. Simmons and say, please tell me, is that divisive? Divisive in the sense that does my writing to her and she writing to me, does it create a division between you and her? Huh? What?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. But I'm asking you, do you consider it divisive? I want to meet, as a teacher, as staff here, I want to meet the other staff and say, look, I don't know how to deal with Mr. Schmidt. I'm really quite puzzled. He's much too intelligent for me, or much too stupid for me. I don't know how to deal with the chap. I want to talk it over because I don't know. I feel responsible for you. You follow? And I care for you, and so I don't know how to deal with you. So I want to consult her, him, the staff, to say, look, what am I to do? Is that divisive? Come on, sirs, discuss with me. Huh? Come on, darling, come on. Sorry, I mustn't call you darling, must I? I'll call you. Go on. I don't care.
If you are, say, much dumber than somebody else or something, and you feel there's division there, but there wouldn't be if this person could somehow give you some of what he's got, or if you're much smarter than the other person.
No. Yes, but how am I, who don't understand you, don't know how to deal with you? Because I'm still learning, you follow? I don't say I know all about the world, all about human beings. I'm the greatest, etc. I say I don't know how to deal with you. So I'd like to talk over it with the others. Is that wrong?
How would they help?
Huh? Huh?
I mean, if that's how it can work, that's...
Wait, I'm
that's
coming. Wait, sir. Step by step, I'm going to lead you to your point. Is that wrong? I want to talk it over. I don't want to say I'm right, this should be done. I want your help. I want the help of the older people in dealing with you. Right? And I want, as Mrs. Simmons has a responsibility to run this place, you follow? Not only this place, the neighborhood, they're all watching you. Don't be fooled. All the neighborhood, huh? You understand, sir? Bramley and all the farmers, they say, what are these people doing? Are they taking drugs? Go to pub? Wildlife? There are all so many nationalities. Black, white, purple, pink and all the rest of it. They're all here. What are they? And they seem to be very nice. They're keeping an eye. You follow? The police are keeping an eye. I don't know if you realize all this. So, she has a responsibility. As I have a responsibility to her. You follow? I want to know what's happening. Because people have given lots of money to run this place, to buy this place, to hold this place. Would you call that divisive, dividing? Therefore I say to, Mrs. Simmons says, look, I must pay the bills. I must run this place, choose what to, all the rest of it. Now, that's a function, isn't it? Right? Now, if she takes status from it, you understand what I'm saying? Huh? That she says, I'm the big boss here. Everybody must consult me. I'm status. So, where there is status, then mischief begins. It is that creates division. You understand, sir? Not function. Now, you as students meet together, right? It has also its danger. Don't fool yourself. You students meet. Is that divisive? If you meet separately from the staff, and the staff meets separately from you as a student, is that divisive? Divisive exists only when you, in your mind, responsibility becomes irresponsibility. You understand? Say, we have been through this before, that's why I can pick it up again. Say, for instance, you go to bed at a certain time. My Lord, I've been through this before. You all agree to go to bed at 9:30, 10:30, whatever it is. Some of you are quite young, some of you are 20. And we agree that we go to bed at a certain time, turn the lights out at a certain time. And being young, fortunately, you're still young, aren't you? Thank God. You forget. Somebody has to remind you. If one reminds you, the one who reminds you, does it become authority? You fight? Somebody says to you, for God's sake, though you have agreed to go to bed, you don't go to bed. Please go to bed. Or somebody says, look, eat properly at table. Hold the knife rightly. There's a right way of doing it and the wrong way of doing it. You say, who are you to tell me which is the right way? I'll show you the right way. Why I consider the right way. And so on. You follow? I say to you, please walk beautifully, not sloppily. Because when you walk rightly, it indicates that your body is healthy. You're harmonious, you're looking at the trees, the skies, the beauty of the land. You follow? You're enjoying yourself. But when you're sloppy like this, you don't. You're just right? So, where is authority in a community? And where in a community division takes place? You got it? Am I right? Am I putting this all right in front of you? I feel staff meeting is necessary. When I go to India, I'm going to talk to the staff. I discuss with them what is teaching. You follow, sir? Whether they're merely teaching geography mechanically, or in the very act of teaching, they're cultivating not only their brain, you follow, but your brain also. Whether in teaching, whether they're unconditioning themselves and the student. You're following all this? I'm going to discuss with them. And if the student says, sir, you are divisive, you are dividing the staff against the... I say, no, we're not talking anything behind your back. We are discussing what is teaching. And therefore, I feel the students should have their own meeting, knowing the dangers of it. You understand? The staff should have their own meeting, knowing the dangers of it, not creating a division. And the whole school should meet together. You follow, sir? The three should function harmoniously, not divided. I don't know if you're meeting all this. You understand? Then it's a living thing. You understand, sir? Look, I've gone into a great deal the question of meditation, which you know nothing. I'm telling you. Tremendously, I've gone into it. It's a great beauty. It's an extraordinary thing if you know what to do with it. And you know nothing about it. If I tell you or help you to learn about it, I help you to learn about it to meditate, not my way of meditation. You understand? And therefore, in that feeling of learning, there is no division as the man who knows and the man who doesn't know. You understand what I'm talking? It is learning together. So, there is the staff meeting, knowing the danger of that. There is the school students meeting, knowing the dangers of it. More dangerous there than here, you understand? And meeting all together. The whole school meeting together. All of us, the 100 of us, and talking things over. You know what? It creates a marvelous thing. You understand, sir? Do you understand this? Because we are only functioning in a community where we are concerned with each other and the whole of the human being, which is you and me. Therefore, authority has its place. Because I mean, after all, when Miss Labor teaches you mathematics, he knows more than you know. And you say, well, that's authoritarian, it's silly. Of course he knows more than you do. But when Monsieur Laborde assumes his status, you follow, then the mischief begins. Then relationship ceases and we are at each other's throat. So we are a community of people living together, young and old, in a beautiful space, somewhat isolated. And we have a responsibility for each other and for the whole place. It isn't Mrs. Simmons' job to just say, well, leave us to look after one side and you do the other side. You follow? It's our responsibility together to create this place. I've lived in California during the war at Ojai. I milked cows, looked after chickens, the filth of chickens, the garden, cooking, washing floors. You follow? Because I feel that way. I didn't say I'm great man, everybody must wait on me. You follow all this? And the same way, let's live together, happily. You understand, sir? Right. What time is it? Oh, it's 1:45. I can see it up there.
Which is kind of something we were talking about last night when we had a student meeting. One thing that seems to be a problem, which is contributing to the division, okay, if we say there is some, which is a student comes to the school and another student or the staff sees, that that student has a problem.
I'm afraid I don't. Let's speak louder. Okay. It's not very clear.
Okay. A student comes to the school, and other students or the staff say that this happens, which it does. Another student or staff sees that this student has some problem, which just doesn't quite fit in as they want it to fit in, want that student to fit in, and so as you were saying, maybe they get together and they try to figure out how they can help that student to see that problem, to even make it so that he won't be a problem in the community. And the thing that seems to be a problem is that when they get to the point and they can't see a way to let the student see that problem, then it's easier to fall back on authority rather than try to see the problem. Do you know what I mean? So that you get reaction.
Do you understand this? I haven't understood the question, so sorry. I may be sleepy this morning, but I haven't understood it.
Well, I'm sure maybe I haven't been clear, but it seems like...
Are you trying to say this? That if a student or if a person has a problem, how to deal with that problem between the staff and the student who has the problem? Is that it?
I think he's saying that it's easier if the student has a problem. It's easier for the staff who is helping him with the problem to fall back on authority rather than, help.
Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see. If you as a student have a problem, you come to me as a member of the staff, and instead of helping you, I assume the authority, then of course nothing happens. You remain with your problem, I remain with my authority.
Even if you try to help, you start out objective, then
yes, sir,
you can't reach the person.
Just it.
Okay.
Sir, you know what it is in all this, what is important? Do you know the word humility? Not the humility of priests, which is no humility at all. It's like the great man on the platform sitting and talking about humility. You follow? I don't mean that kind of humility. A mind that says, look, I know nothing, I want to learn. You understand? The mind that says, I want to learn about everything. Therefore it becomes extraordinarily humble and has no vanity. So when you come with a problem to me, and people have done by the thousands, all over the world, when they come, I listen. I don't say, well, I know what I'm going to do. I don't say, I'm the big man, I'll tell you what to do. I say, let's talk it over. And they tell me what their problem, and it is solved because I know we listen to each other. You follow? Living in a community like this, and I'm emphasizing the word isolated, it is isolated. And it has great benefit being isolated, not being near a town, which is a horror. Being isolated, we are thrown upon each other. You follow? And we have to live together. And therefore we have to learn from each other. And if you say, you are the staff, we are the student, we stop learning. Bene? Right, sir? I think we better stop, don't you?
We could take it up next time too.
Huh?
We could take it up next time. We could continue it from next time.
Oh, yes. I'd like to really teach you so much, but learn together so much not about mathematics, because I'm no good at mathematics or geography or history. That's not my function, thank God. But I can't do it. But I'd like to talk about, psychological things. So I want you to learn to be something entirely different. We'll go ahead.